Boom! Welcome to the CM Kozeman Talk Hour. I hope you're all doing well. This was a short notice, so there's only two of you people in there so far. Welcome, everybody. I hope you've had a nice solstice. I hope the first month of summer has treated you well. I'm doing all right. My shoulders look uneven with this perspective, and well, okay, yeah. I had a nice long day walking around, doing some errands, and actually doing a figure drawing class, so it was very nice. Gavin Tidwell says, "Hello, Mr. Kozeman. Hello, everybody." Riyal Okaner, "Hello, hocam. Selam abi." Debased Gnome's Child says, "Hello, hello, my good friend. I hope you're all doing well. Hearts are pouring in, and yes." KS says, "Hello." Clam James says, "Hey, there, how are you? I'm fine. This is like a nice gathering with friends, and I'm really happy with it." Ria Lokanar says, "I'm watching you with my last remaining internet plan. Thanks. At least lower the resolution." So, yeah. Blake Richardson says, "Hello, how has your summer been?" Uh, there was a big holiday. I spent it in the city. It was great. Pepular says, "Worm." Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to grab some coffee. I need you to call your friends, go on your Discords or whatever you use these days, and get some buddies in this room right now. And also, if you're watching later on YouTube as a recording, please support me on Patreon. You know the drill by now, right? Patreon, buy me a coffee, or get some merch stuff. Yeah. So I can pay at least for that coffee. Now I'll be right back. It's a nice, warm, actually hot and sweltering summer night. Look at my Pambi ribbon. Yes, I'm so pure and innocent, innocent as the driven snow. Now, get this place populated. I will be right back. Oh, I come back. There's lots of hearts pouring in. Nice. Caden Slinker, KPG Survivor, says hello. Kr- Kraptik says hi everyone. Hello, my dear friend. Ash Ash McLovin says, weird, I see you after my date ditch me. Well, if you're a CM Cosman viewer, the shame is on that date, whoever he or she is, missing out on a really interesting person. If you're watching this channel, I hope there will be a repeat date. And yeah. RoboTP says from another channel, I can't attend but have a nice stream. Don't worry. Don't worry, you're not missing out on much. So I hope everybody is well. Let's do our roll call and we can start talking about things. I also prepared the place for some painting. In fact, let me get some stuff done. Yes, while we get questions. C Cyborg says, longtime friend says, hello, Mr. Kozeman. So happy I made it to another one of these. Rial Okanar says, do you believe in a religion? I respect all world religions. I think I'm an agnostic. I don't think it. I think there's more to the world than mere matter. I feel it. If you go back and watch some of my older videos, there are actually videos where I elaborate a lot about my privately formed world belief, but yeah. What you won't find here, despite me being I understand how science works, evolutionary science, life sciences, physics. I don't deny any of those. I think I have a very solid understanding of evolution, but you won't find any IFL science or I don't like going into those is God real kind of debates. TYZR Jaden says, hey, hello. Okay, while we wait for people to come in and we have your questions ready, let's paint a little something. So I developed this really interesting technique over the past weeks where I mix a thin sheet of paper with some normal, actually some fancy ass acrylics. And what should I paint? Give me a prompt. What should I paint? What should I paint? What should I paint? Here. Ash McLovin says, paint depression. Snake with mandibles, says Gavin Tidwell. Blake Richardson says, insectoid human. Gnome's Child says something with ooze and slime. Clam James says, Macrothorax, the Megaraptor. It's a kind of dinosaur. Well, this technique is not very good for paleo art, and I'm not a big fan of painting depression, but yeah. Chris says paint a happy bug. I don't know. Let's see what we can work with. Usually with surreal painting, the paper itself dictates the scene to you. And you are only a humble servant waving your hand around to bring the form into reality. Oh. How are you doing, everybody? How is summer treating you? Let me know in the comments, and I'll gladly talk shop with you. Sometimes during these streams, I feel like, oh, I miss my YouTube friends, and I decide to pop one open. And this happens with some regularity. Some updates about my YouTube channel. I'm actually, if you've been watching my channel, I've entered a really prolific period. I noticed that on each stream, I talk for hours and hours about incredible things. And instead of making a big video every now and then, I could make a small but interesting video almost every day based on the things I know, and the results are going really well. Gavin Tidwell says, summer is all right. I'm bored, but kind of in a slump, but good. Well, yeah, the hot weather does that to people. Some of that is your mind. Some of it is real, but some of that is your mind. So take it easy. Benny says, I got rejected from my university application. I have to search something new now. Oh no. Send Benny some love, everybody. I don't know why people tell me to hurry up, though. I don't see what difference a few days will make. Yeah. I guess people in this comment are your family, and they're just sad and worried that your college application didn't happen. That's all. Craptic says, I've been drawing a lot this summer. Debased Gnome's Child says, it's been hot and sunny, but it's been good for the garden. Yes. What kind of garden are you cultivating? Desert plants? MR11, a new commenter, says a machine with exposed biological organs. Well, it's shaping up to be something like that. Sorry, I'm really tired tonight, so this is not my best work. I know. Well, actually, that suggestion of exposed organs gives me an idea. Let me finish this figure now. As you can see, this is a very thin and cheap kind of paper, and it really absorbs paint well. And I pre-soaked it, so on it, acrylics behave kind of like intense watercolors, and I like that thing. Lots of hearts coming. Let's check some messages. Just a second. Amen. Rakotis says hello. C Cyborg says, I started working again and I have a crush on a man who likes me back. So honestly, is this in your workplace? Ah, that's nice. Reciprocated love. That's nice. Okay, so this is shaping up to be something like this. Once again, it's a kind of regular ass figure to be, if you ask me. But I think we can still save it if we do the following. C Cyborg, continuing on the workplace romance. I did not meet him at work, but I did meet a very nice man who helped me get prepared for my first shift cooking. What do you specialize in cooking, if I may ask? And I wish I could come there and be a guest in the restaurant you work in. Prince Jacob says, modular person doing a backflip. I don't know, man. One of the rules of these streams, one of the unspoken rules of these streams is that I don't do much about all tomorrows in here. Ah. So, in order to rescue this now, I have a special mix of black paint here. This is actually a special mix consisting of black ink, black acrylics, purple acrylics, just a little, alcohol, acrylic retardant, glaze paint, so it's like darker and shinier. And as a result, you get this really aggressive kind of. Yes. Still a lot left, leaves a lot to be desired, but the more you layer these things, the more little things you got going on in the scene, it really begins to work well, even if the rest of the painting is somewhat primitive. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. Rial O'Connor says, watching your art is funny. Thank you. C Cyborg says, I work with a staffing company. I get work around with wherever that needs help. Edward Dory says, I was wondering if you have any advice for a neophyte writer. I got a book publishing deal with an academic press for a biography of a cartoonist. Man, you come to the right place. Let me finish showing this thing and I'll show you, I'll share with you my advice on how to write biographies. So this is how this thing is shaping up so far. Some dangling thing with dark guts coming out. So I'm going to let this dry and we're going to answer Edward Dory's question about writing biographies. It might surprise you to know that aside from all tomorrows and science fiction, I've written numerous proper history books in the English language. One of them is about the Jewish community of Bodrum, that's like a Mediterranean city of Turkey. Another one is basically a directed autobiography of a member of, let's say, a very distinct crypto religious community in Turkey. Another one I did with Rıfat Bali, who's a very well known historian in Turkey, is a big survey of Turkish memoirs in Turkish Jews and Turkish memoirs. And I got like nearly 10 books like these. They're all like, they're found in many libraries in the US. I always write in English. So you're writing the biography of a cartoonist, right? You have to have. Okay, let's wait. Let me share my screen. Okay, are you ready now? How to do a biography. Okay, let me just get the paint out of the way. So, my good friend, are you going to be interviewing a human being, or do you already have your material ready for you? Les ERR says hello. Hello, hello. Ionomane says hello, baby. I feel like that shame of a human being, Destiny. You know how that fucker always like Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, like he always types autistically, never making a point. Oops, sorry, not that. How to write a biography. Okay, I have interviewed everyone I need to, says Edward Dory. But okay, first of all, this is your best friend. Get a little sound recorder. Get a bespoke device. Don't record the sound on a fucking iPhone. Get a bespoke device so you value the thing you're doing with it. The sound quality may be worse. I don't care. So using that, get lots of interviews. Now, here's a step-by-step, okay, guide. 1, record interviews. 2, transcribe interviews. 3, untangle and sequester interviews. And this is to say, imagine you're talking with this person. Cool. Wow, YouTube interface is cool. Okay. Imagine you're talking with multiple people about a cartoonist, okay? So when you talk to people, you realize not everybody is as articulate as I am. So people always jump from subject to subject. Now, when you record and transcribe things, it's all going to be a jumble. But then you'll be able to untangle those. Like you have this one document where you cut and paste everything about the cartoonist's, let's say, school life, another bit where you paste everything about his art style, another bit about his children or his family, if he has one. And so you build up different subdivisions and you populate them, okay? Midori 13 says hello. KS says daddy. Okay. And Zion Production says hello, Daddy Kozeman. Hello, my children. And then the way I do books, you don't have to do it this way, of course. But the way I do books always has a lot of pictures in it. So if I'm talking to people, if I'm making interviews, I take photographs of the places I go. I mean, it's like I and also a camera works like a scanner. So for this book, I interviewed a family who knew somebody who like saved the lives of Jews in Bodrum during a certain time, and they had a picture of a guy who helped them out in their home because he changed their lives basically. And now with a little camera, I photographed everything. So then I can include those paint pictures in my book and take I mean, you can take pictures of graveyards, you can take pictures of people, you can take portraits of people, you can just take, if it's a location specific biography, let's say if this cartoonist was like a really big name in Pittsburgh or something, then you could take pictures of the house he grew in. People love those things. People really like attach value to those things. And then you have your interviews, but that's not it. That's not all of it. Now I'm going to share this thing with you again. Then you get to let's shrink these a little. Okay, then you get to research, and inevitably you find things in newspapers, you find things in books, online, social media. Especially Facebook is a big treasure trove. I mean, for a lot of niche things, there are a lot of Facebook pages, and people really, really like sharing their memories there. She lived in San Francisco, and her work reflects that city. Are you talking about A-Line? Are you talking about what was it? The guy who drew Mr. Natural. Oh, just a second. Robert Crumb's wife. She was also a great cartoonist. Are you talking about Aline Crumb? Maybe not. Yeah, yeah, Aline Kominsky Crumb. Are you by any chance writing about her? It's a fucking small world if you are. Ha! So you're writing the biography of somebody who worked a lot with Aline Crumb. Dory said, I need to look this up. Can I look this up? Wow. Okay, I'm doing a little Dory Seda presentation. Did she pass away or is she still alive? Incredible. Then you have like no shortage of visual material to include in this thing. Okay. All right, just a second. She died in 1988. Wow. I mean, you got a lovely book in your hands. Just start tackling it. And for our viewers, I mean, I'll share some images of Dori Seda and her work. This is her. This is, I think, her at a later age. And this is one of her cartoons. Ladies, please, these women are attacking a piece of pie. It's magnificent. Suddenly, I wasn't hungry anymore. Jeanette would be disappointed if I returned without another jar of number 27. But the drugs that Manika had given me would mellow her out. It's like, yeah, this is a San Francisco story. San Francisco and nobody else, nowhere else. Apparently, one of these pictures is not Dory Seda. I apologize. But yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous subject. I wish you the best. And you got a contract to do this? Wow. Like, as a rule of thumb, another last bit of advice I can give you is to like research deep, but always remember you will probably be talking to a normie audience. So always use a lot of footnotes to explore local nuances. So, I mean, here somebody talks about a population exchange, and then here's a footnote explaining that population exchange. And what I'm saying is, obviously, your memoir is going to be far more urban, but always assume that somebody who doesn't know anything about the cartoons or comic scene in San Francisco will read this. Like, if you talk about Aline Crump, just talk a little about maybe her life. And if you talk about Robert Crump, talk a little about how influential he was, and you'll be all right. Use lots of visual material, and yeah, and I hope you have sole control over this. I hope there's no editor peering over your shoulder like a hawk. God damn, what a lovely, lovely book. I envy you in a good way. I wish you the best in your endeavor, my friend. Edward Dory says the Internet Archive is the best source of biographical information that people have ignored. I agree. I agree. In terms of writing with editors, look, I sometimes write awkwardly too. Edward Dory says, I don't know. I like working with editors as I sometimes write awkwardly. In my humble opinion, send your manuscript to the editor the last. So finish everything and then just send it to your editor to correct the English and like maybe to fix grammar mistakes and shit. But don't involve them before the very last step. This is because then it will be like a ping pong, it will be a mission creep, and like you're already making the book, you're already on the scene, you already have the people's ear. Be confident and you'll be all right. You'll be surprised how you'll be surprised at how brainless some people are who write books like me. But you'll be all right. And I hope this helped anybody else watching who may have harbored or who may be working on books of their own. Always here to help. Okay. Let's check some messages. Clam James says, how tall are you? I think I am mm, 5'9". Yes. Blake Richardson says, how do you come up with unique descriptions about alien life forms in terms of written descriptions? There are a number of ways of doing this. Imagine I want to describe you this thing, and I think about the most striking thing, maybe I would say the faceless cone-headed thing with snakes spilling out of its body like a disemboweled animal. The most salient description should be the most salient feature of your creature. And from there on, you can start building it. Sometimes very few words can go quite far. Imagine like somebody's in a forest and they see a alien creature climbing up the tree, but it's like a spider descending from its web in reverse. Like you could work with some sort of verbal surrealism there. Find an interesting tagline and use it to describe the most salient characteristic of your creature. Avoid unnecessary adjectives. You're not Lovecraft. You don't need to like write ichor dripping or like batrachian, or you don't need a lot of fancy ass adjectives. And write simply. Keeping it simple is harder than making the most complicated thing. Brian Goodsir says, hey brother, nice to see you live, brother. Shalom back to you. Gavin Tidwell, do you think it would be a good idea to try and learn Turkish? Depends on what you want to do. If you want to read books and memoirs in the Turkish language, maybe. If you want to impress people, you can do it in English too. In some descriptions, Turkish is actually lovely to speak. Imagine describe, especially this works, I don't know why the language is made so, but it really works well when describing people, especially beautiful people. Imagine saying the brunette with black eyes. Brunette with black eyes. Okay. But what good is that when you can say something like kara gözlü, siyah saçlı Dilber. I mean, not a dry seat in the audience. Midway through the sentence, boom! She's already calling you daddy because of the weird, unintelligible, and sexy sounds you're making. There are actually, I always say this whenever I come on these streams, okay? There's two ways to speak Turkish. One is the ruffian way, the kind of Turkish they speak on the streets and in 99% of the Turkish media. Böyle konuşuyorlar yani böyle, it comes from like the from the tip of the tongue, no, from the front portion of the mouth. It's the kind of Turkish a repressed and unintelligent person speaks. Then there's the proper and haughty way to use the language. Anladın mı? Yani böyle konuşursun. Her hecenin bir ağırlığı olur. Her kelimenin başı sonu bellidir. Anladın mı? cahil gibi, yani biraz böyle iyi yetişmiş insan gibi konuşmanın da öyle yapmayacaksın. Anyways, that's how it's done. There's a haughty and like kind of cool way to use the language, and basically you choose your words, you intone them one by one precisely, you don't rush into a sentence, you're cold, calculating, and precise, and you avoid shit neologisms. For example, let me find a good example. Uh, okay, here's a good example. Imagine you're talking about strawberries, okay? A great breakfast delicacy. Now, there's two ways you can talk about strawberries. If you are a repressed person, you would say something like, kahvaltıların vazgeçilmezi çilek, which is like the indispensable thing of the breakfast strawberry. No, just makes daddy sad and angry and just disappointed. I ain't mad, I'm just sad. But you can say things like çilek ile tatlı kahvaltı. These are very simple and kind of silly examples. But when you're using the Turkish language, try also, like in English, try to be precise with your words and sentences. If you're saying something that can be said with a 2-syllable word, don't go for the 3 or 4-syllable version, because it won't make you sound more intelligent or more sophisticated. It will make you sound like a freaking parvenu. Okay? Anyways. Oh, lots of messages. Wait, I've got to get into this. Lord Grunwalder says hello, but I'm going to ask you, Lord Grunwalder, to please respect others, because yes, I mean, you are respecting others, but there's a lot of messages. So wait. Okay. Okay, Clam James says, I'm 6'1". You're 3 inches taller than me, says Blake Richardson. I don't know. I think like height is a terribly important thing for Americans. Like people break their leg bones and extend them, or wear those like fake ass lifting things. I think all over the world, it's like one of those stupid things guys care too much about. But in America, it's a big deal. What was it? There's like a harlot's recipe. 666. 6 inches, 6 feet, 6 figures. Okay. Now, how is the human race going to reproduce if you're so picky? Lord Grunwalder says Turkish is mostly useless unless you want to research culture and art. Ottomans were not speaking Turkish a lot. I seriously disagree with this. They did speak a lot of Persian and Arabic. They spoke with a lot of Persian and Arabic loan words, but hey, that was the Turkish language. As the Ottoman Empire fell, says Lord Grunwalder, there were not much scientific or cultural works around. I seriously disagree. because I am actually reading those works and I seriously disagree. There are actually Ottoman language translations of nature encyclopedias written in France, England, and Germany that still haven't been translated to modern day Turkish. The Ottoman script was hard to read, and it was, of course, not an egalitarian society. These are critiques you can make about the Ottomans and their approach to literacy. But the whole uneducated Ottoman trope, it's not true. Actually, members of the Ottoman palace and the surrounding nobility and the journalists in the Bab Ali comparatively were far more refined and knowledgeable about the affairs of the world than their counterparts today. Lord Grunwalder says Turkish is only useful in niche stuff. Okay, I agree with you there because it's compared to English or Spanish, even, it does not have a big geographical area of influence. But this does not mean it's without its beauty and a charm of its own. And I am squarely of the camp which understands that speaking a language in a certain way, learning it in a certain way, does things to the circuits of your mind. And I think speaking in Turkish, thinking in Turkish, and then actually being able to do the switch between English and Turkish, being able to switch between a Ural Altaic language and a Indo-European language, the conjugations and the sentence structure is like inverted comparatively. If you can master that switch, you're a smart, quick thinker. And I think, like every language, Turkish has intrinsic value simply for being an expression of humanity's communication. Do not look so low upon what you think is a parochial. You'd be surprised how quickly the parochial can become universal. Sorry, Lord Grunwalder, don't take this as a critique, but it's just that. Lori Sinai says, hello. Rakotis, lovely name, says, Limao, you got a voice act hocam, in reference to my Turkish. Haughty versus plebeian Turkish. Gavin Tidwell says, have I been misled? No. Gavin Tidwell, if you have this in you, learn Turkish. Really learn Turkish. Look, I'll give you a preview actually. I finished reading this half a century of memoirs by one of Turkey's first journalists in Istanbul. And I think before the weekend is over, I'm going to turn this book into a short YouTube video because it's just like an incredible and Kafkaesque and ridiculous story. But you can only read this book if you know Turkish. I don't know. I mean, look. Hayeon Kim says, hi. So Gavin Tidwell, sana emrediyorum. Gidip Türkçeyi öğreneceksin. Yeah? I command you to go learn Turkish. Zain Production says, do you have any advice on speculative biology related to prehistoric animals rather than aliens? Yes. Look at fossil look at fossil PDFs. So if you have a favorite dinosaur, Google, let's say, Diplodocus plus dot PDF, and you find a lot of scientific papers about that kind of animal, and then you can learn about them, and when you learn enough, you can start to speculate better. Ashma Klavin says, is Turkish hard? I've only learned Turkish and Arabic out of boredom. You will find Turkish harder than Arabic because the way the sentences are put together are more similar to Korean or Japanese or Hungarian or Finnish. The verb comes the last usually. And it's always like, I always make this comparison, like Yoda, it is spoken. It's like the processing starts from the different ends of the sentence. So it's kind of hard to master. MR11 says, what areas of knowledge have you studied or mastered the most? I think it would have to be actually biology, and it would have to be natural history and science fiction literature. All right, 25 people in the house. Let's see where everybody's from. Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? I'll let the answers collect while I'll see what we can do to rescue this poor sod here. Yeah, but also that book about that cartoonist was amazing. If you finish it, can I have a spare copy? I would love, love, love to read it. Just attempting to rescue this thing by drawing random flowers left and right. Painting. All right. Sea Cyborg is from Mamaronek. Lord Grunwalder, As bayrakları, Türkiye. Blake Richardson is from Michigan, USA. Gnome's Child, the bass, is from New York. Brian Goodsir says, Sydney, bro, fly out this week. Being bit busy taking over the world. MR11 is from Venezuela. Gavin Tidwell is from Alabama, one of the states I would love to visit, actually. C Cyborg, New York, represent. Mamaronek. Zain Production, originally from Iraq, but living in Sweden for years. Sinedo is from UK. Rakotis from Istanbul. Ash McLevin, Portugal. I might be from other races too. What races? Okay. Benny is from Germany. Gavin Tidwell says the painting looks really nice with the flowers. Yeah, thank you. Brian Goodsir gives the best answers. Originally from Cosmic Family. Okay. Yes, so there's a balcony adjacent to the apartment I am in, and there are some people there, so sometimes their conversations bleed over. It's a nice chatty coffee house atmosphere. Okay, so we got this here now. Okay, not bad. Let's stamp it, put our seal of approval. Zion Production says, does prehistoric speculative evolution include fictional animals I came up with? If if you come up with fictional prehistoric animals, then yes. Ash McLovin says, I'm from a very obscure clan. I may have Egyptian or Indian heritage. Okay. Do they have clans in Portugal? Forgive my ignorance. Twenty people watching. It's almost been an hour. Thank you, everybody. Mm. Brian Goodsir says, I'm French, Jew, slave, black Scotsman. Well, that's one commonality. I also have a Sephardic heritage. This stream has been great so far. Thank you. Well, I feel great too. Let me put this back and I'll actually show I'll show you what I've been up to, huh? So usually my paintings have been these large things on proper art paper. This is a very high quality form of paper and it's very like solid stuff, okay? Or when I'm outside, I have a little sketch pad. This is also watercolor paper, so it's pretty high grade. I have small things like this. But over the past few years, wait. And to make things, and of course, always I carried bunches of sketching paper with me. So these are my sketches on any given day. Stuff like this. So I had sketches and I had paintings, the two separate modes of production. But over the last couple of years, I've also been making paintings on sketch paper. So things like this thing or this thing. Now the paper here is very thin. You can see through it. It's like So if you put this in a frame, it doesn't hold up very well, but it also has a very nice kind of immediacy in painting pigeons and shit. Or these things like, whoa. So I call these things the tin sheet anomalies because they really don't fit either category of my production, but I keep making them. They're like a whole new form of artistic expression for me. And yeah, they're fun. So we're gonna make more of these now. Let me put all of these back. Lord Grunwalder says, I'm a Circassian from my mother's side. I don't know what my so I'm Circassian from my father's side. I don't know what my mother's heritage is. Probably Turkish from Erzurum, maybe distant Armenian or Persian ancestors, considering the demographics. My grandma is from Bulgaria. Everybody is a mix of somebody in Turkey, but everybody who says they are Turkish is a Turk. Ne mutlu Türk'üm diyene. Ash McLovin says, I would love to buy those if I wasn't so damn broke. Well, thank you. Wait, let me just clear up a few things on this table. You won't believe what a mess the other places you don't get to see are. I'll just put these back. I'll be right back, okay? Kotobuki says, hello, what's happening, Sir Cosman? We're talking and painting. If you got a question, fire ahead. I'll be right back. Less IRR says, how do you overcome a particular fear like the fear of flying? Do you think professional help is somehow a scam? I was actually really afraid of airplanes when I was a kid. Then I remember my grandmother died, and then we took an airplane to her funeral and shit. And after that, never felt that fear again. So you have to let some bigger fear come and dethrone that. I think that's how it works. Professional help, I'm skeptical, especially when it's in like topical fears, like fear of flying, fear of water, fear of heights. I don't think professionals are going to be able to help with that. Professional help only works with things you can talk about, like loss, bereavement, grieving. I might be wrong, but I mean, statistically, you probably know, like, flying is not going to kill you. You're more likely to die from like a dog attack or something. But of course, it's the lack of control. Like, you don't know what's happening in the cockpit, and that's what scares you. You can't control the plane. You don't know what's happening. If it's shaking, you don't know if it's because, yeah. See, Cyborg, have you ever smoked a spliff? I've inhaled, but Okay, so there's an interesting thing about me. I'm blind to smells. I cannot perceive smells from birth. It's called congenital anosmia. Now, where this comes into play is like cigarettes or marijuana doesn't register to me. This when I smoke it, the taste doesn't register to me. And because of that, I also never needed uh, I never needed to take anything to relax or to show my true colors or to open up to somebody, but that's just my personal bent, I think. I think cannabis is less harmful on a clinical basis than tobacco, but I think the whole culture about weed smoking, just sitting around and getting stoned all day, unless you're nursing a terrible pain or a terrible trauma, I think it can leech the life out of people. So it's just my opinion, just my personal opinion. This is not a hill I would die on. Brian Goodsir says cannabis is my fuel. Les IRR says, I am not actually afraid of planes, but my girlfriend is. She's a very anxious person. It's impossible for her to fly. Not a chance. Do you live far away? Rakoti says, good night, Hojam. I will be going. I really need to sleep. Before you drift into unconsciousness, be sure to smoke a final spliff. The crystal ship is being filled. A thousand dreams. Good night. Good night. I love that song. Rakotis response to this incredible. Yeah, that shit was so accurate. It's gonna get copyright struck. It's incredible. The Doors sing along. Lots of hearts coming in. Okay, so let's talk about Les IRR and his girlfriend who's afraid to death of flying. Do you live apart? Is this a long distance relationship? Different cities. Now, I will raise the possibility of maybe her overrating this fear because she does not maybe want to deal with the burden of flying and you have to fly in and out. But that's the unspoken etiquette with long distance relationships. The guy or the male manifesting entity always does the traveling. C Cyborg says, to overcome my fear of flying, I researched how airplanes worked. Yeah, it helped me too. Less IRR says, my girlfriend and I want to travel and see other places, but it's impossible to travel without flying. Well, I hope you overcome this hurdle. Also, if if she's younger, sometimes when people are young, these fears are conflated. But give it a few years, and yeah, maybe she'll grow used to the idea. I mean, you could take a kind of make sure you're maybe if you like if you can pack her into an airplane with you, make sure your first trip is somewhere you go without any carry-on luggage, just your backpacks and not a lot of stuff, you know. So actually you won't have to deal with like checking in luggage and claiming luggage, and it's like a big hassle of flying. I hate flying because of that shit. Actually, I really hate airports and the sense of getting late. I don't want to miss a flight ever. And there have been times where I considered, you know, skipping a holiday entirely just because I don't want to deal with the hassle of doing the check-in and like checking into the flight. I need to be in an airport 5 hours before the flight leaves, or I'm really uncomfortable. I really don't like, and the food is overpriced and stuff. So like, you know. Zain Production says, I learned your tutorials on how to draw prehistoric animals, and I emulate that in my art. Thank you. Always proud to inspire others. Back at the airplane drama, Les IRR says, it would be much easier if the turbulence didn't happen. Well, no such luck. But here's a tip. Imagine you're flying together and there's a turbulence and she's very scared. Don't go, I'm sorry, it's gonna go away. Shh, just be, shh, just. No, you have to be like a reptile, be like a rock, just stand there and take it. Let her freak out, but let her freak out against you. How does that work exactly? Says, look, when your partner is anxious or scared or angry, or God put us men on this earth to take shit. Are you a man of Teflon or are you a man of wool? I'm being hyperbolic, but if your partner is being overtly emotional about something that has no remedy, like turbulence on an airplane, sometimes the best option is not to respond to, do not even attempt to allay her fears directly, but just be there and just suffer. She'll understand, and you will find that that problem will suddenly disappear like mist in a sunny morning. Kotobuki says, Brian Goodsir says, out of the furnace of adversity emerges man of steel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hard, Hard times make strong men make good times. Good times make the airplanes fly on time. Kotobuki has a great question. Okay, look, I hope less IRR you and your girlfriend work out the flying thing. I might be wrong, but I kind of sense that the aviation phobia thing will improve as soon as you take your first trip together. And when that happens, just stay cool about it. And then, like, when you're cool, they get cool. It's just how Lord Almighty put us together. Sir Kozaman says, Kotobuki, how do you make your setup when your camera is pointed down at the paper? Okay, I'll actually show it to you. This is my YouTube setup, and I might even try to connect this actually, but let me describe it first, okay? This is a normal webcam. It's actually a pretty dinky webcam, and it's got its kind of like pedestal like so it can like swing around. Normally you put this on top of your laptop or shit, okay, or your desk. And it's a pretty standard USB kind of plug-in webcam. Now the body actually comes from a literally like a $3, one of those $3 things that hold iPhones, you know, like for those vanity shots where those girls have the iPhone and like a kind of thing. So it was actually an iPhone holder. But there were actually options to buy like smaller professional tripods, but they cost too much. They cost like $200 or stuff. And I just got the dinky e-girl iPhone holder. And I took out the bit that held the iPhone in place and managed to find a screw that connected. I don't want to take it apart, but the good thing about this, you have to pick a webcam that has a screw on the bottom. You can't really see it. Has a screw on the bottom that can screw into conventional tripods. And then after that, you get one of those long screws that can fit a conventional camera. And then there's a bit that this goes into. It was just more of a luck kind of thing, but I made it work. And then this is like a little stupid reading light to illuminate the so this points down like so. Let's actually try to plug this in, see if it works. I was using this for Twitch streams because OBS can handle multiple webcam feeds. And I'm not really sure if YouTube can do this, but we're just going to give it a chance now. And I switched. I wanted to use OBS, the streaming program, with YouTube, but for some reason my YouTube doesn't talk to my OBS. I haven't figured that out. So as a result, I haven't been using this for a while. But now let us try to experiment. So I'm plugging it in. If the stream crashes, good night in advance to all of you. Let me just read my messages. Okay, are you ready? So, long story short, get a webcam and attach it to something that can hold it upside down. It could be a desk light, to be honest. Just tinker and experiment, and that's that. Boom! Plugged in. Allow it to connect. Okay. Ah. Okay, I wonder if we could do this. Wait, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this shit now. Wait. Wait, okay. Looking for. Okay. Because if I can share windows on YouTube streams, I can get a window that gets this webcam's feed and then throw it over. Let's see if we can make it work. Oh, for fuck's sake. What is your favorite CM Kozman phrase or saying, by the way? Let's talk about that while I try to get this to work. What is your favorite Daddy Kozman phrase or saying? What is your favorite phrase or saying? What is your favorite phrase or saying? How to display webcam on screen. Mac. Oh, QuickTime. Okay. We can make that work. Okay, file. Whoa. Oh. Okay, so without even recording. Okay, fingers crossed, everybody. Boom. Fuck, it works. It goddamn works. We made it work. Thank you. Now I don't have to deal with OBS shit. Is this upside down though? Oh. This is up. Oh, it's upside down. Oh. Yeah. Sorry about that. How did we? Wait. I'm gonna have to spin this around. Haha. Okay, now it's working. We're back in business, everybody. Daddy Kozeman is Blake Richardson's favorite phrase. Yeah, thank you. C Cyborg says, when you say something along the lines of in a just world, well, let's leave it at that. Yeah. That night I went to sleep. I had super psychedelic, colorful dreams because of the inspiration from the Twitch stream of yours. Zane Production says it works. Yeah. It's working. It's working. When you say hello, everybody. When you talked about your dream cafe in the USA, yeah, that was nice. Maybe. God, my visa application got rejected. My green card got rejected. So I won't be opening that cafe anytime soon. Zain Production says my favorite phrase is the coffee sipping. Thank you. Okay, now, yeah, look at this. This is better than OBS. So good. Benny says, your favorite phrase that I can remember is drowning men will grasp even at serpents. Yes, it's a Turkish saying. Denize düşen yılana sarılır. But very, very true. Brian Goodsir says the Lucia Light tree can give you psychedelic experiences. I don't know what the Lucia Light tree is, but I would like to learn more. Mhm. Yes. I don't know what this is going to be, but it looks like some sort of medieval rendition of an octopus by somebody who's never seen one. Yeah, I'm a bit tired today, so tired in a good way, though. Brian Goodsir responds with a crazy series of emojis. Lovely. Zaim Production says, I'm painting a creature like Wayne Barlow. Best of luck. 15 people watching, 1.5 hour in. Guys and gals, as soon as this thing is done, I think I'm going to call it a night. Hmm. I hope you enjoyed the stream with me. I know I did. I missed you all. Is any of you a fan of Susie and the Banshees? Kotobuki says, would be cool to have a artsy online get together where everybody paints together. We could arrange that. I've seen events like that, and actually they turn out really awkward sometimes. So let me just mention that too. The day drags by like a wounded animal. Na, 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 da, na, na, na. Are they the goth band? Well, I think goth is too narrow a description for them, but yeah, they are the band. Na, 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 na. I'm so glad we figured this thing out. It had been languishing, and yeah, goodbye Twitch. Was nice to know ya. Back in YouTube. Do you listen to Korn? Says Blake Richardson. Yes. Only a few of their songs I know and like, though. Have you eaten raw corn? Yes. It's very tough and milky. Na, 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 na. You can see I'm using like bits of different. You see how messy my palette is? And there's a slight blue here, slight yellow, black, some white, which is actually, it's not what you think it is, you sick fuck, but it's just a medium, like something that makes paint more bright. So I got that. I'm using a mix of really high quality acrylics and really cheap ones. The cheap ones are just as good. It's like, and plus I have my toxic black over here. Well, over here somewhere, yeah. Lots of hearts coming in. Which ones are the most vibrant? Well, depends. I mean, like, if you want the reds, this Russian made St. Petersburg acrylics, they've got the brightest reds. But for other colors, like this yellow from this French brand that's no longer made in this state. I found these in an old art shop which has batches of unsold stuff, and they sell one tube for $2, maybe even less. So now moving in with some sulfur yellow here and here. Oh, you see? They're really bright. And it doesn't really mix well with the other colors. It's like chunky. So I can use this for the eyes. Mhm. He looks awesome, says Blake Richardson. Thank you. Ah, well, it's not my best work, to be honest, but yeah. A lot of good art is just tenacity. I mean, you just have to keep plugging at it until it gets consistent, if not good. 86 degree. Which one is your best work, Sarkozaman? I think my best work will be All Tomorrow's Redux, The Rewrite, or Snayad. As for surreal paintings, I change my mind every week. The day goes by like a wounded animal. Nan, nan, nan. As you can see, there's no aim or structure to these things. But I'm just careful about negative space. I know where I want to fill things, and I want to do them gracefully. I want to do the filling gracefully and mysteriously. So you see this head looks a bit out of balance, so I'm just going to add some more stuff here so it looks more balanced. C Cyborg says Ampelokipos Night is my favorite. I know what you're talking about. It's this painting. Let me show it on screen. Yeah, there's too much going on in this painting. Not my favorite, but yeah. Wait. Okay, so the painting that C Cyborg is talking about is this Ampelokipos Night. It's actually a very primitive and crude painting by my standards. This was done, I think, early in the COVID lockdowns. I was practicing how to use watercolors, and it's actually a adaptation of, like, somewhere in the Greek city of Athens, there's this neighborhood called Ampelokipos, and I lived in Athens for a while, a long time ago, and this thing was adapted from a frieze that was on an apartment building from the 1950s or the 60s. So yeah, it's an adaptation of that. I mean, this was like almost literally one-on-one copied, like some details of the creatures are different. C Cyborg says it looks like two lovers meeting after being apart for a long time. Ow. Or two friends hanging out, says C Cyborg. Yeah, maybe. Good allegory, though. Thank you. Let's check some messages. Okay, let's go back to YouTube cam. Yes. I can't believe this still works. Amazing. Let's get some more light in here. Yeah. Well, if you like Ampelokipos Night so much, let's add one of those things here, huh? I forgot what they looked like, but yeah, this is really neither a sketch nor a full painting. Ah, could have been better. Benny says, "Can you give advice on a more serious topic?" Yes, please. Okay, so we got all these figures filling this place up now. This started as one of the Ampelokipos night things, but it's like a far bigger creature now. The kind of black I'm using has lots of glaze and retardant in it, so it glows under the light, and you're just gonna have to wait for this to dry. Zain Production says, "I'm going to bed. It's good to be here. You seem like a kind hearted artist who loves to draw and paint silly creatures." Yes, thank you, and good night. And we're still waiting on the serious question from Benny, by the way. Good night, Daddy Kozman says. Benny says, my neighbor keeps screaming at his wife and his children. I don't know if there's anything I can do to help. They've been living separately every now and then, but sometimes, oh, man, I don't think like it's hard, man. I mean, if you know this neighbor in person, you might want to ask maybe, hey, is everything okay? And maybe that way he will get the message, even though he sounds like a dislikable person. But yeah, I mean, if you hear sounds of violence or like gunshots or something, call the police or 911. But sometimes if you confront them, the whole family may actually gang up on you. People are weird like that. Boris Tsonev says, exactly, I agree. Don't get involved as long as there's not violence because you just make it worse. Yeah, and it may boil on to you. It may blow up to you. And we signed it here. Yeah. Let me show it to you on the big screen now. Oh, I'm so sleepy. Yeah. Not so bad. If you want to buy these paintings, you can just join to my Patreon on the $150 master patron tier, and you get to get any of these stream paintings you pick. Blake Richardson says the colors are amazing. Thank you. I use muted colors, so also it helps that the paper isn't entirely white. So yeah. Kotobuki says amazing work. Well, yeah. If you were not watching, I would have torn it up. Yeah. Mm. Benny says, I have never heard hits or anything, just screaming and sometimes crying. I don't even know what my neighbors look like. I just hear them. Once again, it's the Star Trek Prime directive. Do not interfere. It's awful, but don't interfere. Yeah, everybody. Okay, that's been that. Thanks for being with me tonight. It's almost been 2 hours, and I had a lovely night with you. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next stream, everybody. Any last closing comments? Let's have your last closing words and comments. And Kotobuki says, thank you for the stream. Blake Richardson says, good night, Daddy. Good night, Mr. Kozman says, see Cyborg. Boris Chonev says, damn, I wish you the sweetest dreams. Yeah, Kotobuki, thanks for making us getting this thing working again. Blake Richardson says, I finished a new drawing. Would you like to see it after the stream? Yeah, yeah, just send it on. C Cyborg says, are you still interested in doing that interview with me about dreams? Yes, yes, potentially. Write to me on Twitter. Bug Eyes says, I just got here and have a good night. We had a great 2 hours then. Thanks for joining. Okay, I'm gonna just fix a few things on the table here, and you just write your messages. See, Cyborg says, I am the Twitter alien abduction dreams. Yes, yes, I know. And I would love to talk to you about it. Have a good night. Yes, everybody. Have a lovely night. Wherever you are, this has been CM Kozuman. Good night. Boom.